The silence of Briarwood House wasn't peaceful. It was the thick, suffocating quiet of a tomb sealed before its occupant was quite dead. Evelyn Reed felt it the moment the last moving van rumbled away, leaving her alone on the weed-choked gravel drive. The Victorian monstrosity loomed, its dark windows like vacant eyes. The gingerbread trim rotted into jagged teeth against the bruised twilight sky. She'd inherited it from a great aunt she barely remembered. A final, unsettling gift. Inside, the air tasted stale and carried the faint, metallic tang of old pipes and something else. Something vaguely organic, like wet earth under stone. Dust motes danced in the shafts of dying light filtering through grimy panes. Evelyn's footsteps echoed hollowly on the bare oak floors as she explored the cavernous rooms, each shadow feeling watchful. She chose a smaller bedroom on the second floor, its faded floral wallpaper peeling like dead skin. Exhaustion, deeper than the physical ache of unpacking, pulled her into a fitful sleep on her air mattress. Then came the singing. It slithered into her dreams first. A woman's voice, impossibly clear and sweet, yet threaded with an undercurrent of profound sorrow that chilled the marrow. A lullaby. The melody was simple, hauntingly familiar, yet utterly unknown. The words were indistinct at first, murmured syllables that blurred together like water over stones. Sleep, little one, beneath the bough. Shadows gather round thee now. Evelyn jerked awake, heart hammering against her ribs. Moonlight painted silver stripes on the floor. The house was utterly still. She strained her ears, hearing only the frantic thudding of her own pulse. Just a dream, she told herself, pulling the thin blanket tighter. Stress, new place. But the next night it returned. Clearer now, unmistakably coming from inside the house. Not loud, but pervasive, seeming to seep from the very walls, the floorboards, the oppressive darkness of the hallway outside her door. The voice was achingly tender, yet its sweetness curdled into something deeply wrong. Hush, my darling, close your eyes where the forgotten spirit lies. Fear, cold and sharp, pricked at Evelyn's skin. She fumbled for her phone, its harsh light a tiny defiance against the encompassing gloom. She searched online. Briarwood House lullaby. Nothing. Local legends, Briarwood. Obituaries. A faded newspaper scan from 1952 flickered on her screen. Tragedy at Briarwood. Infant perishes, mother vanishes. Eleanor Vance. The article was sparse, clipped. Her infant son Thomas found dead in his crib unexplained. The verdict, sudden death. Eleanor, overcome with grief, disappeared a week later. A single, chilling detail buried near the end. Neighbors reported hearing Mrs. Vance singing incessantly in the days following the tragedy, a peculiar lullaby. No one knew where she went. Suicide was presumed. The house stood empty for decades after. The lullaby wasn't a dream, it was an echo, a ghostly recording trapped in the plaster and timber. The singing became a nightly torment. It started earlier each evening, lingering longer. The voice grew more present, more insistent. The sorrow deepened, twisting into a raw, keening need that vibrated in Evelyn's teeth. Come away, the path is deep, where the silent watchers sleep. She stopped sleeping. She barricaded her door with a heavy chair, purchased industrial earplugs, played white noise at deafening volumes. Nothing worked. The lullaby bypassed her ears, resonating directly in her skull, a parasite melody burrowing into her thoughts. She found herself humming it while making coffee, the alien tune spilling from her lips before she could stop it, filling her with icy dread. Paranoia became her constant companion. Whispers seemed to coil just beyond hearing. Cold spots bloomed unexpectedly, stealing her breath. She saw fleeting movements in the periphery of her vision. A wisp of dark hair vanishing around a doorframe, a pale hand withdrawing into shadow. The air grew thick with the scent of damp earth and something cloying like decaying lilies. The house wasn't just haunted, it was hungry. Eleanor Vance wasn't singing to a long-dead child. She was singing to her. One rain-lashed night, the storm outside mirrored the tempest within Evelyn's frayed nerves. Wind screamed around the eaves like a banshee chorus. Rain lashed the windows with furious fists. The power died, plunging Briarwood into absolute suffocating darkness. Evelyn huddled on her air mattress, flashlight beam trembling in her hand. The storm's fury should have drowned everything, but underneath the howling wind and drumming rain, it came again. Clearer than ever. Closer. The lullaby. It wasn't seeping from the walls anymore, it was downstairs, in the front parlor. The voice was no longer distant sorrow. It was raw, intimate, a lover's croon dripping with terrible yearning. Find the cradle soft and low, where the final rivers flow. A compulsion stronger than terror seized Evelyn. It wasn't curiosity. It was an invisible hook set deep in her soul, reeling her in. The flashlight beam jerked wildly as she descended the creaking stairs. Each step felt like walking against a current of freezing water. The air grew thicker, colder, reeking of wet soil and grave mold. The singing swelled, wrapping around her, pulling her towards the parlor door, which stood slightly ajar. A sickly greenish luminescence spilled from the crack. Evelyn pushed the door open. The room was empty of furniture, shrouded in dust sheets, but in the center, bathed in the unnatural glow that seemed to emanate from the floorboards themselves, stood a woman. Her form was translucent, flickering like candle smoke. She wore a tattered, once white nightgown, stained dark at the hem. Long, lank black hair hung over her face, obscuring it, but Evelyn could feel the intensity of her gaze. The woman swayed gently, cradling empty arms as if holding an infant. Eleanor Vance. Her voice, when she sang the next line, was a physical caress, icy fingers trailing down Evelyn's spine. Lay you down in earth's embrace, in this cold and hollow space. Evelyn tried to scream, but only a whimper escaped. Her legs refused to obey her frantic commands to flee. The ghostly figure slowly raised her head. Behind the curtain of hair there was no face, only a shifting, oily darkness that seemed to drink the feeble light. The empty space where a face should be radiated pure, distilled despair and an ageless, ravenous loneliness. The lullaby shifted. It wasn't just Eleanor singing anymore. Another voice joined it, thin, reedy, impossibly ancient and chillingly infantile. A gurgling, breathless counterpoint. Thomas, stay with me. Never go in the darkness down below. The twin voices wove together, a harmony of the grave pulling at Evelyn, promising an end to loneliness, to fear, to the crushing weight of existence. It promised peace, eternal silent peace. Down in the dark, the green light intensified, pulsing from a spot on the floorboards directly in front of Eleanor. A spot that looked disturbingly like a poorly repaired section, darker than the surrounding wood. The source, the cradle. Come, The voices sighed as one, not aloud but directly into her mind. Sleep. It's so deep, so quiet. Forever. Evelyn's terror reached its zenith, a white-hot spike piercing the numbing lure of the song. Forever. The word echoed not as comfort but as the ultimate suffocating horror. She tore her gaze from the pulsing darkness on the floor, from the faceless spectre and its ghastly infant chorus. With a guttural cry ripped from the depths of her being, she threw the heavy flashlight with all her might. Not at Eleanor, but at the room's grimy bay window overlooking the storm-ravaged garden. The crash was cataclysmic in the haunted stillness. Glass exploded outward in a shower of glittering shards. Icy rain and howling wind instantly tore into the room, extinguishing the green glow, shredding the ghostly figures like smoke in a gale. The lullaby cut off mid-note, replaced by the elemental roar of the storm. The hook in Evelyn's soul snapped. She stumbled backwards, gasping, then turned and fled. She didn't stop running until she was miles down the rain-slicked road, the silhouette of Briarwood House swallowed by the storm and the night behind her. She never went back. Evelyn moved to a bright modern apartment in the city. She surrounded herself with noise traffic, music, the constant hum of appliances. But in the quiet moments, just before sleep claims her, when the world outside holds its breath, she sometimes hears it. Faint, impossibly distant, yet chillingly clear. A fragment of melody carried on a stray draft. A sigh in the plumbing and a woman's voice, impossibly sweet and infinitely sorrowful, singing the first few notes of a lullaby. From nowhere, always from nowhere. And she knows with a certainty that freezes her blood that the song isn't fading, it's getting closer, searching, waiting for the silence to deepen, waiting for her to listen.